Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Studio, and today I'm here to review Zootopia 2, the long-awaited sequel for the original. And I had just looked at this, and the first movie came out in March 2016, which means I would have been in third grade when the first movie came out, and now I'm a freshman in college, so how the time flies, I guess, and I mean, it makes sense. It's been 10 years, basically, since the first one came out. A lot has changed in my life since then, for sure, and I think a lot of people can say the same. You're not the same person that you were when the first Zootopia came out. For most people, for everyone my age, you were a child, you were innocent, and now we're not innocent anymore, we're not children anymore, but yet, a lot of us still went to go see Zootopia too. Why? Because we love the characters, we love the themes of prejudice, the not racism but speciesism. We'll go ahead and call it that. Between the characters, the dynamics there, the police world, the city, a lot of really good things from the first movie, and we came back to the second one because we liked all of that. Now, the second one doesn't, like, the sequel, we'll call it, it doesn't really dive into a lot of that. It focuses more on just, like, a classic mystery, but it also focuses on, what it's like in, dealing with being with someone, not necessarily, like, romantically, but having, like, your partner in general, whether that's, like, a friend or a romantic partner, be someone who's different than you, and the struggle with that and how you deal with that and how you get over it and how you stop focusing on that all the time. And it was a pretty good theme, honestly. Like, I found myself, taking away the most was the Nick and Judy relationship dynamic, for sure. And you had the entertaining plot with the snake and the what was their name, the Lynxleys. I'm not going to keep saying that name because I'm going to keep mispronouncing it, I'm sorry. But all of that was pretty entertaining as well. I definitely think the villains were a lot better. I mean, Mayor Bellwether, she's kind of an icon, and I'm glad she made it into this movie. But still, they were much better. I mean, I wouldn't say I was rooting for the villains by any means, but they were better. The story made better sense overall in that regard of it, which, I mean, makes sense considering this movie was more about just like a standard mystery, standard takedown. It didn't have like all the deep layers to it, which honestly I think worked for this. I'm not gonna lie, it worked pretty well to just have like the more standard plot. It made more sense. You can only really cover so much in of like those themes in this, and maybe they could have done it again, but I honestly think it worked pretty well, the direction that they went. And I know I saw some people saying that it just didn't click the same with like the serious tone, and I kind of get that. It definitely felt a bit more dumbed down, if you want to say that. Just like maybe like characters making just more like stupid decisions that don't fully make sense. I mean, Judy was pretty reckless in this movie. It's almost like her and Nick swap places. Like, Nick was suddenly the reasonable one. Which, it kind of makes sense. He was isolated. He doesn't really know how to act in a relationship. Judy is pretty high strung and all of that. Now, it was so interesting seeing Judy Hopps like back on my screen again, because I have always been a fan of Judy Hopps. I just think she's a badass and definitely one of my favorite Disney characters out there. And I think this kind of goes to show how much what I really like about Zootopia is that it's not the standard Disney movie where it's like a fairy tale vibe. It's not. It's like actually deals with real issues, and it's able to make your characters, I think, more entertaining and more interesting. Like, to me, I like Judy way more than I like most of the Disney princesses. I like Nick more than I like most of the Disney princess. it's just the truth. It's more interesting when you give your characters, not necessarily make them more complex. That's not necessarily the issue, because they have been able to make some princesses complex and layered. I just think when you deal with real world issues, it makes the movies better and it makes your characters better, which is why I think Zootopia is probably one of Disney's biggest successes, just like Inside Out. Inside Out, I'm pretty sure is Pixar. I'm gonna look real quick. Yeah, okay, it is. So I can't really include it in my top ranking. I mean, it kind of counts, but it kind of doesn't. And just because I know a lot of people would like to differentiate between the two, I'm just gonna go and not, because it is Pixar. But still, it's the same type of thing, you can say. Inside Out works so well because you have your characters dealing with real world stuff and things people can actually go through. So, and you can make the argument that that wasn't really the case in Zootopia 2, because it wasn't really at its core. I mean, you had like the relationship dynamic, but you just kind of had this own little mystery going there. Just like, a classic kind, and I think this movie in some aspects reminded me a lot of The Bad Guys too, where the first, and actually they kind of work decently side by side if you're putting those two movies, comparing them. The first movie of The Bad Guys really focused on the bad guys trying to be better. That was the whole plot. And in the second movie, you kind of veered away from that a bit and just focused more on, I mean, definitely more of the relationship with, I don't even remember their names. I don't remember, it's not the fox. It's the bunny, though. And that, whatever. You get what that one. I haven't watched it. I watched it over the summer. I just forget a lot of stuff about The Bad Guys too. But it's kind of the same thing where here, you had your big plot for the first movie, and then in the sequel, you kind of had to change it up a bit, give it like a different vibe, and they did a pretty good job at it. I mean, the animation is gorgeous. It is. The Disney did a great job with it. I mean, I was very pleased with it. Really, really well done. My favorite scene, honestly, though, was the whole water park stuff, because I love water parks, and that slide. I'm like, get me on that slide. That looks batshit insane. That thing was long, like really long. I would love to go on a slide like that someday. So we'll see. I mean, it's a movie. They can do whatever they want. They can make those slides however long they want. Something that long doesn't actually exist out there, but. I debated with this whether I want to really talk about the plot, and I'm like, not really. I mean, I think I covered a lot of the basics. I don't really need to get into specifics. I will talk about the new characters. I like the snake a lot. Gary the snake. I thought he had like a nice redemption arc, if you want to call it. You understood why he did what he did. He was funny. He was sweet. I really like that. My favorite new character, though, was the beaver, Nipples Maplestick. Like, she stole every scene she was in. Her podcast commentary was so funny. I thought it was hilarious when she was right across from the jail cell with Nick. Actually would have liked if they had like a little bit more of that back and forth before she got out and they escaped with everyone, because I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, she was the funniest part of the movie to me. Like, so funny. I love that. Again, I think the new characters were really good. Both Gary and Nibbles. The Linksley family, I mean, again, I think the villains were much better in the sequel. Paubert, he fooled me, actually. I legit did not think he would turn, but it makes sense. You needed him to turn to create, that falling action, basically, to resolve the whole story. You needed that turn. And I'm so glad that they didn't spare him. But I did think, he kept coming back. He kept showing back up. It did kind of get repetitive at the end. But I'm glad that justice was served to him and they didn't try to redeem him again, because that just wouldn't have worked. What I really thought they were going to do is I thought they were going to set up like a little love triangle. I knew they wouldn't go do like a full love triangle, but they didn't really go that route. Like, I legit I mean, it makes sense why he was being awkward at the gala, but I thought they were going to hint at something there and that we would kind of get jealous Nick. I thought that would be funny. But we didn't, and that's fine. It wouldn't have made any sense anyways if it was, because he ended up being a bad guy. So I was fine with them not going that direction. But yeah. But yeah, kind of going back to the Nick and Judy dynamic. I think the story that they were trying to tell with them thinking that they're too different for each other and that it's not going to work, and then by the end it doesn't matter. You're different, but if you can, that doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is that you're willing to try, and you can do great things together at the end of the day. If you can put your skills together to make the world a better place, and it doesn't matter how different you are. It just doesn't. And I think that was a great message for all those partners out there, whether it's friends or, couples, who think they're too different from each other to make a difference. It's not true. All you need is to find just a little bit of common ground, even if you're totally different people, as long as you have a shared goal and you're willing to put everything you have towards solving that goal. Then you're unstoppable and you can do whatever you put your minds to. So I thought that was a great theme. Again, it was different than the first movie. The first movie had a more serious plot. In the second movie, it was a bit different. They kind of dumbed it down a bit. It was kind of cheesy at times, but at the end, it had a good message. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. So it was a really good sequel. Again, not as good as the first one. The first one is easily in my top favorite Disney movies of all time, which for the longest time I thought this was a Pixar movie, and then I realized it was a Disney movie. I was surprised. But honestly, I was kind of thinking, if I had to say my top movies, Disney movies, it would be Frozen's up there. Ratatouille I really like. I really like this, and I really like Tangled. I'm trying to think of a fifth one to give you an idea. I would say Inside Out, but I just verified that it's a Pixar movie, so I really can't include it as much as I want to, but it's definitely a top Pixar movie for me. But I would probably just say The Lion King. Lion King's iconic, so yeah, I would say those are my top five in no particular order. You got Frozen, Ratatouille, Tangled, Zootopia, and The Lion King. We'll just go with that. So, but comment down below what you thought of the sequel. Was it as good as the first one to you? Was it lacking? And what places was it lacking? Did you like what they were going for the Nick and Judy dynamic? I mean, I think they did a really good job with it overall. They didn't kiss, and I was kind of hoping for a kiss, not because I'm into furry animals making out, but I would have liked to see that as a conclusion to the whole thing, but at the end of the day, though, it's fine. I think it actually ended really sweet, where she got that recording on her carrot that saying he loved her. I would have liked for her to say it back, but it was a sweet ending to the movie. So, but as far as to what's next for the channel, so we are basically almost at the end of the year, and I'm probably only gonna do 2 more videos to end off the year. I have the Stranger Things Volume 2 review, which what I did is I already watched the whole thing as you're listening to this, and then I watched that Christmas night, and now I'm rewatching it with my dad to kind of get a second watch, to process it all, think about it all more. So probably Sunday night, which, early in the morning, Monday, in that range, I'll probably post my Volume 2 review. And then the second video, if they do release a full trailer for the final episode, I'll probably do a last minute breakdown of it. So that'll probably be it. If they for some reason don't, which I think they will post a teaser. If it's only a 30-second, I probably won't do a video. I'm not one to really do a video talking about my last minute death predictions, and especially considering how I have a feeling that no one significant is gonna die. I don't know if I really want to do that. So unless we get a full trailer, I might not, and I might come up with something else. But we'll see. But definitely stay tuned for that volume 2 review coming out in probably about 2 days. So, again, comment down below what you thought of Zootopia 2, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas.